Hey.
Hey.
Alright, we may be 10-2, I don't know.
Why's that?
Well, this guy was drunk, and I think he was wet.
Yeah.
And I beat the ever-living out of him, choked him, and everything else trying to get him under control. And we finally got him in handcuffs when a third man got there. And the son of a bitch was still fighting, and we were still wrestling with him, trying to hold him down because he was spitting blood everywhere.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, he just went limp.
Damn.
Yeah, I thought he was dead. We set him up real quick. He's on the ambulance en route to Glenwood, and I'm hauling ass trying to catch up to him.
You think y'all got no body cam?
Welcome back to the Civil Rights Lawyer channel. Those were the words of former Louisiana State Trooper Chris Hollingsworth, who would later die in a high-speed, single-vehicle crash in 2020, just hours after he learned that he would be fired for what was captured and documented in this body cam footage that involves the death of 49-year-old Ronald Green at the hands of Louisiana State Troopers. They tried to pull him over back on May 10th, 2019 for an unspecified traffic offense. He led them on a high-speed pursuit, but the real story is what happened once they caught up to him. This is the case where he repeatedly said that I'm scared. And he had reason to be scared, because he wouldn't survive that night. He wouldn't leave the scene that night. But this isn't about showing that brutality. You can watch it elsewhere. This is about the cover-up. These police officers were caught red-handed. The cover-up was documented, and therefore it failed. Why is this important? Because pursuits often lead to what my friend, Kentucky civil rights attorney Chris Wiest calls the he had it coming defense. Because somebody is leading the police in a pursuit, a certain segment of our population is okay with the outcome that when the police catch up to him, they're going to beat the hell out of him. And that applies in many other types of cases as well. The he had it coming defense. And really, there's two types of people out there. Really, there are two types of people out there. There are those of us who actually will hold the government to the Constitution and demand that it be applied equally to criminals, equally to people that we don't like. And then there are those of us who will accept the he had it coming defense, who will allow the government, i.e. the police, to beat the crap out of people because he had it coming. And maybe he did have it coming. But what's the problem with that? We don't allow the police to be the entire judicial system, do we? Why? Because they can do things like you see in this footage. Let's take a look.
Come here, motherfucker. I got. Get out the car now. Do it now.
So at the end of the pursuit, they catch up to him. We don't even know what the traffic violation was. The pursuit did reach high speeds of, I believe, up to 115 miles an hour. Undoubtedly, the officers were worked up by the time they got there. Again, this is not uncommon. There have been many excessive force cases arising out of pursuit situations where the police eventually caught up to them. So violence ensues. Violence ensued here. Now, I'm not necessarily showing it, but they were tasing him so many times that they forgot how many times that they tased him. Mr. Green was repeatedly crying, I'm scared.
Yeah, I got blood all over. So those are blood. We got to go. I don't know what that is. Last time this happened, they'll check him at the hospital. Make sure they ask. You okay? Yeah, I'm good.
Yes, sir. All right, sir.
Don't you turn over.
All right.
Don't you turn over. You lay on your belly. Lay on your belly.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
Don't lay on your belly like I told you to. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Well, I ain't right. I'll let you go. Why'd you run from me? All you was doing was speeding a little bit and run a red light.
I was just tired. I'm just tired. Hey, sir. I'm just tired.
Good job on calling everything out. Appreciate it.
You're dead, calm, everything's good. What happened here? Tell me real quick what happened.
He just came across LA2 way too fast, and he just didn't know where he was going, is all it was. And when he hit, his rear end got airborne a little bit, and when he touched down, he was on the west side of the road here, and kind of fishtailed, clipped that mailbox, and just kind of rotated counterclockwise. He hit that, and then that's why I came in right there, because I was afraid he was going to try to pull back off that away.
But they leave him face down, prone, for several minutes before even bothering to render medical aid to him. And what happens? He dies.
I was going to sit him up, but I didn't want him spitting blood all over us.
Don't do that.
When you get pictures of us, I mean, you think it's serious enough when you take pictures of us right now and the struggle, and I ain't really, besides my belt coming off.
I think we're good. When you get to the hospital, if you see anything,
Take
who's
pictures.
taller from more you?
That was me. He was stout. I think he's on something
Good
else.
job,
other than a little
Chris.
bit of
Hey,
cigarette.
really, y'all did a good job. Y'all called it out. Did a good job.
Afterwards, the medical examiner called it a homicide, which basically was unprecedented. So he called their bluff. He took away that he had a coming defense. In this footage, you can hear the officers in real time start to get upset and start to figure out how they're going to cover their tracks.
Did you send Captain my text? I called him.
Okay.
Said everybody's okay, but
This is suspect. Not good.
oh really?
Yeah,
Like, what you mean not good?
like maybe 10-7.
Like right now?
He wasn't breathing when they put him in the ambulance.
You're kidding me.
That's what you said. I don't think he's even breathing.
So, talk to Cody. Save all that for me. Hey, what kind of shape is he in? I mean, is he
Just
breathing?
have him checked. Just have him checked. I don't anticipate any problems, but he was a handful for 2, and 3 could barely handle it. They're leaving Rocky Branch now. Thank you.
And you have the phone call. I don't know why someone would be so dumb as to wear his body cam and have this conversation. But perhaps it's because they just can't control themselves. The adrenaline has taken over. And in fact, at the very end of that conversation, you can hear as soon as the word body cam is mentioned, boom, it cuts off.
Hello.
Hey,
Hey.
alright, we may be 10-2, I don't know.
Why is that?
Well, this guy was drunk, and I think he was wet,
Yeah.
and I beat the ever-living out of him, choked him, and everything else trying to get him under control. And we finally got him in handcuffs when a third man got there, and the son of a was still fighting, and we were still wrestling with him, trying to hold him down because he was spitting blood everywhere.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, he just went limp.
Damn.
Yeah, I thought he was dead. We set him up real quick. He's on the ambulance en route to Glenwood, and I'm hauling ass trying to catch up to him.
You think y'all got no body cam?
So the real story here is not just that cops will brutalize somebody. They absolutely will do that. The story is the cover-up. These cover-ups will happen. That's how government operates. You don't have to, it doesn't matter whether or not you know police officers and you trust police officers, or whether you have a police officer in your family and you know that they are good people, they're a bad apple, sure. You're missing the point if you think that. It's not about that. It's about citizen versus government. You need to understand that. Citizen versus government. Do you trust the DMV? Would you trust the DMV just because you have an uncle who worked in the DMV? No, of course not. Because you are dealing with the government, you know that the government will screw you if they get the opportunity. You never want to trust the government. Don't let your feelings about police officers that you know, or wanting to support the police, or bumper stickers, or flags, don't let that cloud your judgment. You're talking about the government. The government will screw you if they get the chance to do so. The government needs to be documented. And here, the body cam footage gave these cops all the rope they needed to hang themselves. I get asked all the time, what do we do about this? And I've given this a lot of thought. Here's what I think the answer is. I think the answer is politics. It is political. How do these cops get away with this sort of stuff? Well, they have certain special protections. They have exemptions for disclosure. Their personnel files get protected from public exposure. Body cam footage, just like here, they attempted to protect it. All these things can only be addressed through politics, through the state legislatures. How many more cases like this are there around the country? There really needs to be some organization, grassroots organization, not built around a political party, but just built around the actual Constitution, and not just platitudes that we hear from political candidates, from political parties. Actual enforcing the Constitution, enforcing the Fourth Amendment on behalf of the citizens, not the police officers. The politicians look out for the police officers. They look out for the government. They look out for their own. So this is something I want you to think about. This is something I'm going to think about. And there's got to be a way to organize at a grassroots level to make sure that there's accountability, that there's documentation so we can't have these cover-ups, that we can shine the light on police officer misconduct, that it's not hidden away in confidential personnel files. So there are ways to do this, and it's going to be a little different in all 50 states. But you know what? Maybe this will be my life's work, to organize something that you can do, that we can do together, both sides of the political aisle or all sides of the political aisle. So that's something that I'm working on. I'd love to hear your input on that. So thanks for watching. Remember, freedom is scary. Deal with it.